welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I wanted to discuss something that has come up a lot recently in my life, and that is the question of why would an introvert want to move to the most densely populated city in the world? So as you may or may not know, Tokyo has the highest population of any city in the entire world. So why would somebody like me, an introvert, a very intense introvert, want to move somewhere where there are so many people? So in today's video we're going to be discussing that topic, and in true introvert fashion I am wearing my Stay Home Club sweatshirt because I think it's appropriate for this video, because I am a homebody. I am definitely somebody who likes to stay home and I don't really go out that much, and being around people, although it can be quite fun, it can be very exhausting for an introvert. So just to quickly explain this, if you don't know, there are different like Myers-Briggs personality types, and mine is INFJ. So if you take this test, it kind of tells you what your personality is and what you kind of tend to be like in social situations, in your career, things like that. So I'm an INFJ, which is the most rare type. So the I in INFJ stands for introvert, and I weigh heavily on the introverted scale. So some people are kind of in the middle, balancing between extrovert and introvert, but mine is heavily on the introverted side with very little extrovert in me. So what this essentially means is that when I am with people, it drains me mentally, and I have to take time to myself afterwards to kind of recoup and recover from social interactions. So I get my energy from being alone, and that is certainly the case here. When I go out, even with my friends, people who I really enjoy being with, if I go out with them, I usually need a couple days to kind of recoup by myself without any plans, and that is just the kind of person I am. I've always been that way. So why would I want to go to Tokyo? I believe that Tokyo is a city catered for introverts, as crazy as that might sound, but I hope to give you guys a few examples of that. So maybe if you're an introvert that is interested in going to Japan but you're a little bit nervous, maybe this will calm your mind just a little bit. So why don't we go ahead and just get started. So my first point is that people in Japan are a lot more considerate of those around them. They are definitely a collective society, so people tend to make the decision that is best for the group instead of the individual. Whereas in the United States, just for example, this is where I live, so I'm just going to use it as my examples because this is where I live and what I know. People tend to think more about themselves. Not always. There are many people who are very selfless, but in general, people do what is best for them. In Japan, it is about the collective. So when hanging out with your friends, everybody kind of comes to a consensus and you will do something that everybody is happy to do. So when I was hanging out with my Japanese friends, they would take my, my preferences into consideration. If I had dietary restrictions, they would try to respect that so we could all find somewhere that we could all eat. So it was less exhausting to hang out with people. So I would notice that when I was hanging out with my friends, I wasn't exhausted mentally afterwards, and I could actually go out the very next day and hang out with them again. So I was a lot more social in Japan just for the sheer fact that I wasn't so mentally exhausted every day. So their consideration actually allowed me to spend more time with them instead of having to spend time alone to recover. The other thing that I really enjoyed was if I would go out to eat, the wait staff doesn't really bother you. They typically will come between like 3 to 5 times to your table. They'll usually take your drink order, come back and drop off your drink and take your food order. They will come back with the food and then they will give you a receipt. And then of course, they usually typically have a button on the table in like a family restaurant where you can ding that button and they will come if you need assistance. But other than that, they don't needlessly bother you, which is fantastic, because sometimes when you go out to eat, you just want to eat your meal and then go. So you don't have to make small talk with the waitresses and waiters. Here in America, they tend to do that because they want you to tip them. So they try to like get very friendly with you, and sometimes I'm just not having it. But they think that if they're more friendly, you'll tip them higher. But in Japan, the tipping is not a thing. So you don't really tip in Japan. So they have no need to be overly friendly with you. They just do their job to the best of their ability, and that is it. going off of that, you can honestly eat and survive in Japan with very little social interaction. So for example, there is a ramen restaurant and you'll go in, you'll put your money into the little vending machine, you will pick the option of the meal that you want. When you are seated, you're in a little booth with like little dividers on each side, so if you're by yourself, you don't have to chat with anybody, it's kind of just like your own private booth. And then you will just hand the ticket to the kitchen staff, they will make your food, and then they will just place it onto your little spot. There's like a little blind that they open. They'll place your food down and then they close it, and they will not come back unless you press the little button to get more service. So you can literally do all of that without any social interaction if you are not feeling particularly social that day. So that is awesome. You can also get meals at the convenience store, and all that they're going to say to you is welcome, and then they will just tell you your total when you are ready to check out. You can honestly survive with very little social interaction. It's the same at the train stations. You can just beep your card in, go to the train. People on the train aren't very chatty. You can get around with very little social interaction if that's what you're looking for, regardless of how many people there actually are around you. There's also plenty of parks and green spaces even inside of Tokyo. Obviously, the further out you go, the more green spaces you will find, but there are very large parks in the middle of Tokyo if you want to just feel like you're in nature instead of in the large city. For me, I am an introvert who enjoys the large city just for the sheer fact that there's more things to do inside of the city, but I don't necessarily prefer the large amount of people. So if you are the type that really likes to be in nature and more green spaces, you can find plenty of places like that to just relax for an afternoon right inside of Tokyo. And if you're an introvert who enjoys going to cafes, there are plenty of great cafes in Japan as well. They have many that are themed in different animes or different characters. So for example, just a few that we visited, we went to the Pom Pom Pudding Cafe. We also went to the Chibiusa Cafe. There were so many options when we were there. And if you're not really into the themed things, they also just have really nice cafes scattered about. There is a really nice Starbucks it's kind of like on the brink between Harajuku and Omotesando, with a really nice like roof seating area, so you can go out, and also if you want to look and be outside, that's nice as well. So they have plenty of like little hideaways for the introverts in Tokyo where you can just grab a cup of coffee, get some work or schoolwork done, and just relax. So there's definitely no shortage of those in Tokyo. As I mentioned before, the public transport in Japan is very quiet. People only tend to talk to their neighbor, but at a very low volume, so it's not anything compared to my experience in America. When I used to take the bus to school when I was living in Pittsburgh, people would be chatting on the phone at 8 in the morning, almost screaming in everybody's ear, and it was really painful for me to do that because I was tired. I just wanted to put my headphones in and just enjoy my music, but I could still hear people talking so loudly even with my headphones in, which was a problem. So in Japan, you're not going to have that issue, whether it be on the trains, the bus. I didn't really have any experience with a taxi, but obviously in a taxi, it's just your taxi, so you don't have to worry about that either. The subways, everything is remotely quiet, so it's not as exhausting as maybe some other forms of transport that you're used to. And the last point I want to make in this video is that Japanese people aren't overly chatty with foreigners. You may encounter the random person who wants to practice their English, or if you're in like a more like nightlife scene, such as like Shibuya or Shinjuku at night, you might be talked to a little bit more. I can't really speak for other introverts, but I don't particularly partake in the nightlife scene, so that isn't a problem for me. But during the day, people will really just leave you alone. They're not going to come up and try to make small talk with you or ask about the weather or anything like that. They're just going to let you go about your day because they're trying to do the same. So you don't really have to worry about having to like fake being very like social with somebody when you're just trying to go to school or work. So it's a lot less exhausting. There are plenty of other reasons why I still believe that Tokyo is almost catered for introverts and extroverts alike. I certainly think that if you find yourself in Tokyo as an extrovert, you're going to have an amazing time because it's the city of endless possibilities, to be honest. I also believe that my fellow introverts are going to have an amazing time in Tokyo for some of the reasons that I listed and for some reasons that I haven't listed. So if you have anything else that you want to add, please leave it in the comments down below so that others can check it out as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I cannot believe that the time has almost come. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be taking a small break from YouTube over the next week just as I finalize everything for the big move. It's just a stressful time and I would like to spend it with my family. So I hope you guys don't mind that there's going to be no videos until I'm finally settled in Japan. I'm also going to be closing my Etsy shop. I'm going to probably be closing it this Thursday. So that would be, let me check the date. That would be March 29th. So this video should be up on the 27th, and I'm going to be closing my Etsy shop as of the 29th. So that'll be the last day to purchase anything from there if you're interested. If not, no pressure. So I just want to let you guys know that if you don't see any videos from me, that is why. If on the off chance I do get some videos out, then you can just disregard this message. But I may, if it's just a little too crazy, I may take some time off for YouTube from the next like week and a half. So I hope that you guys will understand, as this is a pretty crazy time in my life, but I am so happy to have you guys support and I cannot wait to share all of my Japan adventures with you guys. I will be sure to vlog the whole adventure, so please stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys so much. So I think that's about it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to stick around for more videos, and check out my other videos if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!